Right now at noon, a deadly plane crash in Greene County. We'll tell you what we know about the incident as federal investigators look into what went wrong. Plus, the Splendor Man stabber Morgan Geyser returns to court after running away from her group home in Madison. You're watching News 3 now at noon. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Josh is off for the rest of the week, and we begin with the weather. The holiday travel rush begins today. And we could see a little bit of snow later tonight and probably throughout the weekend, too. But first, let's talk about an alert day for tomorrow. Jacob, hi there.
Hey, Susan. The alert day, not for snow. It is for very strong winds that are expected tomorrow. And overall, there's just a lot to unpack with the forecast. Let's take a look at the alert day. Strong winds. We're including with the light snow in the alert day. But again, it's mainly for the strong winds where gusts could be up around 50 miles per hour. This can be for all of southern Wisconsin. And this is only going to be for Wednesday. It will remain breezy for Thanksgiving, but not quite as strong as Wednesday. There is a wind advisory in effect for everybody from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. So let's take a look at the wind gust forecast. Very calm right now, but once that cold front pushes through, we'll see gusts up around 20 to 30 miles per hour Tuesday evening, and then it's really going to pick up once we get closer to sunrise Wednesday, and we're expecting gusts somewhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour for much of the day. This is going to continue into the afternoon as well, and like I mentioned, still going to see some breezy conditions for Wednesday night into Thanksgiving, but a little bit less so. Gusts up to 35 miles per hour, still noticeable, but Wednesday is when it's really going to be gusty, and we also could see some snow for that day. Now, we're not seeing any precipitation right now, and before we show you the rain and snow forecast for the next 24 to 48 hours roughly, I do want to mention that we had some very dense fog this morning, still seeing some patchy, foggy spots out there, but it is a lot better, and these foggy conditions are not expected to return as the temperatures plummet overnight. Now, as we take a look at the rainfall forecast, we're going to see some more rain before we see the snowfall. Rain is expected later in the evening. Could even see a few isolated thunderstorms with this line of precipitation. But this is going to be the cold front. And once that rain clears out, the winds are going to shift out of the west-northwest and cool the temperatures down, bringing in that snow. And it's going to move into the western portion of our area after midnight and spread across our area throughout the early morning hours Wednesday before sunrise, and then after sunrise during the morning. That's the best chance of snow, and overall the best chance of snow will be for areas north of Madison where we could see maybe an inch or two, but Madison and areas to the south, not going to see more than a half inch, but the chance of snow will continue into the afternoon, and areas east of Madison may continue to see that early Wednesday night, but we should be pretty dry once we get to Thanksgiving morning, and because we're not going to see a lot of accumulation, I don't expect to see any treacherous road conditions for Thanksgiving itself. So although we're going to see some windy conditions, I don't expect to see a ton of travel impacts from the snowfall. Maybe if you're heading further north, as northern Wisconsin could see a little bit more snow. But the bigger concern with the travel, at least before Thanksgiving, will be the winds. Now, post-Thanksgiving, there's another system expected to move through our area, and this one is much more likely to bring snowfall accumulation. So I'll talk a little bit more about that coming up a bit later.
All right, we'll check back in just a little bit, Jacob. Thank you. And as we were just saying, the Thanksgiving travel period starts today. AAA is expecting a record-setting holiday period between today and Monday. They're predicting more than 82 million of us will travel at least 50 miles from home. And they say nearly 90% of travelers will drive. About 6 million will fly, and fewer than 3 million will use other modes of transportation. An analysis from Samsara shows crash rates on the Sunday after Thanksgiving are 65% higher than the Sunday before, which is a reminder to take extra care on the roads. And here's when AAA says the best and worst times to drive will be afternoon and evening today and tomorrow are when they expect the most congestion. It's best to leave before noon if you can, and if you're heading back Friday or Saturday, avoid traveling from around 1 to 7 or 8. Try to leave before 11, and then on Sunday and Monday, expect heavy traffic from 11 to 8. The best time to travel on the Sunday after Thanksgiving is before 11 or after 8 on Monday. Beaver Dam police are searching this noon for a woman who has not been seen or heard from since last week. Paige Gilmore was last seen on November 18th. Police say she may be in the Milwaukee area. If you have any information on Paige's whereabouts, please call the Beaver Dam Police Department. To continuing coverage now in Greene County, where the FAA and the NTSB are expected to be on the scene today as they investigate a deadly plane crash that happened last night. The crash killed 2 people. It was first reported at 5:15 on State Highway 59 in the area of a gravel quarry that is next to the Monroe Municipal Airport. A sheriff's deputy arrived on scene and found fire in the quarry. Construction equipment was also on fire, and there was a large debris field from the aircraft. Firefighters quickly put out the flames, but thick fog that Jacob was talking about at the time made conditions very difficult for first responders. Today, federal investigators will continue to work to try to uncover the cause of the crash. The identities of the 2 people killed have not been released. Today, the Slender Man stabber who escaped from her group home in Madison will have an extradition hearing in Chicago. After a 24-hour search, police in Posen, Illinois, arrested Morgan Geyser late Sunday night. She escaped from her group home Saturday night after cutting off her ankle monitor. Officials from Madison Police and Waukesha County say communication should have been better while Geyser was on the run. Madison Police did not learn of her arrest until nearly 12 hours after Geyser went missing. Waukesha officials add that the victim and her family were not informed that Geyser was missing.
At 12:20 this afternoon, they still had not been informed by any other agency other than our own that she had escaped, which is very concerning.
Days after her arrest.
In 2014, Geyser and her friend Anissa Wire lured the victim and stabbed her 19 times to please the fictional character Slender Man. A legal expert says that someone getting conditional release and then escaping is very rare. Still to come today at noon, a local TV station group makes an offer to buy a rival, and why a bipartisan group of U.S. senators wants to investigate Facebook parent company Meta.
A bipartisan group of U.S. senators has asked the Federal Trade Commission and the Securities and Exchange Commission to investigate Facebook parent company Meta over claims the tech giant profits off of fraudulent and scam posts. A new report from Reuters alleges the tech giant earns as much as $16 billion in profits annually from advertising for scams and banned goods on its platforms. In a statement to Reuters, Meta said it has large goals to reduce ad scams, and it notes that the company has removed more than 130 million pieces of scam ad content this year so far. The lawmakers demand federal regulators impose steep penalties. Local TV station group owner Sinclair has made an unsolicited bid to buy smaller rival EW Scripps for $7 per share. Sinclair has set a December 5th deadline for a response. Scripps says its board will review the offer. Sinclair says the merger would strengthen local journalism, though critics say it will lead to more media consolidation. Sinclair owns or operates 185 TV stations, while Scripps operates more than 60 stations. And Krispy Kreme's new holiday line features 5 festive donuts with 2 celebrating iconic Peanuts characters, Charlie Brown and Snoopy. Fans can grab a dozen in a special commemorative box starting this Saturday. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Thank you, Jesse. Let's see how stocks are faring on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dow way up at noon, 542 points. The Nasdaq is also up 75, and the S&P 500 is up almost 48. Our call for action volunteers are in the building today, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. If you need some help, call 608-270-2833, or you can submit a claim anytime online online at channel3000.com/call-for-action. Pam Yankee has today's farm numbers when we come back, and Jacob is tracking the Thanksgiving first warn forecast. And then later this afternoon on Live at 4, you may be spending a lot of money on lotions and potions for skincare, but an expert tells us your water may be the issue. We'll talk about that later today on Live at 4. Let's wish a happy early Thanksgiving to Farm Director Pam Yankee, who joins us now with the Midwest Farm Report. Pam, we are thankful for you and all of our farmer friends. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Susie Q. Same from me to you. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'm wishing you early, and of course, I'm happy for the partnership with News 3 and all of you. Let's talk a little bit about farmers and the thanks that they've got for the crop that they harvested this year. It's pretty much done. Any of the corn that you generally see standing around southern Wisconsin now is waiting for a home. Our elevator is very, very full. Some are piling corn on the ground. It's been a good harvest. Wisconsin Ag Statistical Service gave us a recent update on our crop progress, and it's also the final report of the calendar year since the government shut down a lot of the information. What you'll see is that corn-wise, 90% of our corn is already harvested. As I said, anything that's still standing out there is likely because it's lacking storage space. The average corn moisture was about 18% when they were bringing it in. Winter wheat got a pretty good chance of getting seeded and emerged. 92% coming through the soil surface. 70% of our winter wheat called good to excellent. So ready to button that crop up for the winter as well. Want to send out big congratulations to a friend of mine that's been a long-time face of Wisconsin 4-H, Sally Shinnicky up in Dodge County. Retired now as a 4-H youth development educator living in Oconomowoc. She was recently inducted into the National 4-H Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia. Sally has literally dedicated her career to bridging the communication gap, making sure that young people know what 4-H offers to them, making sure volunteers know where their place can be within 4-H. 32 years strong and continuing to go. Sally Shinnicky, now a member of the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Sally. She is a true gem, as any of you in Dodge County or beyond know if you've gotten a chance to work with her. So we're keeping an eye on what's going on as far as the markets are concerned. A little bit of here and there interest, but remember, now that we're getting closer and closer to December, many of the trading companies are going to start looking at bottom lines and getting ready to close their books. So sometimes the news will influence what's happening with our markets, other times not so much. I'm also encouraging growers that are out there that are still really challenged to figure out how to struggle their where their crop's going to go. Let me know. Like I said, you're sending me messages, various email, social media, letting me know if you're having problems finding a home for specifically corn or soybeans. Just go ahead, share that with me. Like I said, these are continuing conversations we'll continue to have, I'm sure, for the next few weeks. Today, barrel cheese in Chicago unchanged at $158.25. 40-pound block cheese takes another nickel dive down to $147.50. Double A butter also 3 cents lower on a Tuesday to $143 a pound. So there you go, Suze. Like I said, some of that corn may still be standing around Wisconsin farm fields. The weather has allowed it to stay there, but now with the winds that you guys are talking about, that may not be the case by the time we get to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a good heads up for farmers to know about that. That's going to be the big story tomorrow, and then maybe some snow over the weekend. Are you driving for Thanksgiving? What are you doing?
I'm taking off this afternoon to try to either join them or get ahead of them.
Good girl. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and Buck Pam. We'll see you next week. And now let's get an update on that wind and the rest of the forecast. Here's Jacob.
Thanks, Susan. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Talking about those windy conditions tomorrow, that's what the alert day is for, with some light snow as well, as we'll see much colder temperatures for Thanksgiving. And those colder temperatures are going to continue going forward, with snow accumulation possible with that system on Saturday. And I'd say right now the chance of accumulation Saturday is much higher than the chance of accumulation from the snowfall tomorrow. Now, we're not seeing anything on the radar right now, but we are expecting some rain before it transitions to snow. But there is a winter weather advisory in effect for June Juneau and Adams County from 3 a.m. to noon tomorrow. So again, the further north you're located, the better chance you'll see maybe about an inch or two of snowfall accumulation. Now, looking at the rain and snow chances going forward, we are going to see that rain move through during the evening. This will be along the cold front, so we could see maybe an isolated thunderstorm or two. But once this rain does move through the area, it's expected for just about everybody, likely after sunset. That's when the temperatures are going to really cool down once that clears out. So the winds are going to shift out of the west and northwest and bring in that snowfall as well, moving in after midnight, and the chance of snow is expected to continue, especially for the morning on Wednesday, but also into the afternoon for areas to the east. Now, the further south you're located, the less likely you will see snow. I still expect to see at least falling snow at some point for our entire area, but the further south you are, the less accumulation that's expected. And even areas to the north, again, only expected to pick up about an inch or two, and most of this will clear out Wednesday night with dry but still breezy conditions for Thanksgiving. And as we take a look at specifically the snowfall accumulation forecast, notice a lot of the area less than an inch, but these light blues further north indicate maybe about an inch for places in Juneau and Adams County. Some isolated locations could see just a little bit more, but the good news is that the snowfall, at least in southern Wisconsin, shouldn't create too many travel headaches, not as much as the wind might, with the gusts possibly up to 50 miles per hour. And that's what the alert day is for. We are including the light snow just because some areas could pick up about an inch, like I mentioned, but the main part of the alert day tomorrow will be those winds. Not seeing those winds right now, but they're going to pick up later in the evening tonight, gusts up around 20 to 30 miles per hour, and then between 40 and 50 miles per hour once we get to the day on Wednesday. And this is going to continue all day and into the overnight hours as well. Calming down a little bit by Thanksgiving morning, but still going to be very breezy. And then once we do get to Black Friday, the winds are going to calm down a lot, but it's still going to be very cold. In fact, the cold weather is not going anywhere. Now, here's a look at the Thanksgiving forecast. High temperatures are only going to be around 30 both days for Thanksgiving and Black Friday, but we aren't expecting much precipitation, although we could start to see that second system begin to move in late in the day Friday, but mainly Friday night is when it is going to move into our area. Now, there's still a lot of uncertainty with that weekend system, but I want to start showing you the track of it because models are in very good agreement right now. So we're going to be dry for Thanksgiving and Black Friday, like I mentioned, but starting Friday night, here comes that snowfall. And once we start to see that snowfall, the chance of snow is going to continue all day Saturday and into Saturday night. Now, again, I don't expect to see the wide range of snow that you're seeing right now, but in general, the chance of snow at this point does look to be pretty high for Saturday, and it will clear out pretty early on Sunday, maybe some lingering snow early, and accumulation does look very likely at this point. Again, the extent of the accumulation is still very uncertain because if the storm does drift a little further south, we may be only seeing the northern end of the snow, which may only bring in, a few inches, but in a perfect scenario, we could be seeing several inches of snowfall, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Might have to go alert day for Saturday as well, and certainly going to produce some travel headaches, especially for those that may be having to fly back to Wisconsin on Saturday. And like I mentioned, the good news is that the snow should be over for most of Sunday. And this is going to be the case for at least somewhere in the Midwest. It depends on if the track is further north or south. Will depend on which areas see the most snow.
All right, you will keep us posted. We know. Jacob, thank you. Coming up next at noon, UW Health clinical dietitian Michelle Harnish is here with some healthy strategies for the upcoming holiday season. We'll be right back. UW Health clinical dietitian Michelle Harnish is back with us for this month's health segment. Hi, Michelle. Happy early Thanksgiving.
You too.
And today we're talking about strategies for approaching the holidays. We need to have a strategy. You always do. And you say now is the time to sort of make mini plans. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that you are going to have maybe a quiet month for Thanksgiving, but Christmas is going to be pretty crazy, make those adjustments. Be fair to yourself. Maybe be a little bit more aggressive, on the days that you have the time. And when you're going to be really busy, just say, hey, I'm just going to try to make sure I drink my water, get my steps in. There's nothing wrong with making little mini plans depending on what your schedule says.
I love that, not to get too stressed out about it. And it's really everything in moderation, ultimately. You say compare holidays to holidays. What do you mean by that?
Yes, because when we look at maybe a Thanksgiving day and we compare it to a day like today, it's automatically going to look off. And we don't want it to look like we failed, that we were being naughty. And so think about the last Thanksgiving and say, okay, what did I do then? Is there something that I can do this holiday to make it a little bit healthier? And so you're not holding yourself up to an unrealistic standard.
Oh, I love that. That's a good strategy. And you also say keep the holiday in the holiday. Is that sort of another way of saying don't be too hard on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you want to enjoy the things when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Have the taste, have the flavors, have the recipes. But if you have a plate of Christmas cookies on Christmas Eve, that's different than eating Christmas cookies the whole month of December. So if you put it in proportion and you give yourself that time to celebrate, then you don't have to feel guilty.
Yeah. You're giving people permission to be a food snob.
Yes. I really love telling people to be food snobs. We should always pay attention to what we put in our bodies. But when it comes to the holidays, we really want to appreciate those things that don't come around all the time. So if it's a family recipe, something that you make from scratch that takes a long time to make, you want to make sure that you treat that real estate on that plate very precious and really decide what you're going to put on that plate.
That is great advice. It only comes around once a year, so enjoy it. But those are some great tips to be thinking about.
And we want to eat slowly and mindfully too. So when you do have that food snob, then you want to make sure that you're getting all of the enjoyment out of it.
Have a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks for coming today.
You bet.
Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you back here for Live at 4.